Welcome back, dear viewers. Now in this edition, we are going to talk about Martyrs' Day, as President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi witnessed on Monday the 43rd Armed Forces Cultural Symposium at Al Manara International Conference Center, marking the Martyr and Veteran Warrior Day. And we are joined over the phone by Ambassador Soad Shalaby, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Good morning.
Good morning.
What is the significance, Ambassador Soad, of celebrating this special occasion and the President's keenness to celebrate Martyrs' Day every year?
Martyrs' Day is important for Egypt because it honors the military personnel who sacrificed their lives for the nation during many wars that Egypt has gone since 1948 until 1973, and then after that we did a peace accords, and we are living in the pleasures of peace, or the fruits of peace, since 1973. That is why we have to remember all those who have lost their lives, and to honor their families and their wives who have been resilient enough to keep their families after the sacrifice of the armed force members.
So, Ambassador Soad, the President during the ceremony sent a message, a reassuring message to Egyptians, saying that the national economy is so far resilient to all turbulent conditions in the region, and hoping that Egypt avoids the war repercussions. How do you read his statement?
Yes, of course. Egypt going into different wars since the war of 1948, and then 1956 and 1967,
yes,
69, and then March. There was after that the war of attrition, and then the 1973 war, and the recovering of all the land that have been occupied by Israel since 1973, and we regained all this land. Even Taba was returned to Egypt. So since then we are honoring the military personnel who have lost their lives by giving this honor to their families, and giving speeches to reinforce the bond between the people and the military, especially when we celebrate the 6th of October, and especially that we promote the national awareness of Egypt's military history during the wars and during the sacrifices that has been done by the military. So the families of the martyrs are invited, and they are given good care, social support, and health care and entitlements in order to feel that the people are recognizing the suffering of those families who have lost their loved ones during the wars.
Also, the President urged immediate peaceful solutions to the regional crises, warning that the current war has its grave humanitarian repercussions. Do you think that the warring parties can sit on negotiating tables soon?
Well, it is important for Egypt because Egypt is a regional partner and a player, a very important player in the region. So Egypt has to work towards peace and has to ask all the warring partners in order to reach a solution and to stop the war, to have a ceasefire in order to stop the suffering of the people. There is now forced displacement of women in many countries, just because not only of this war, but starting from October 7 in Gaza, there has been forced displacement in Gaza, forced displacement in Syria, in Yemen, in Sudan, in Palestine. So all this created acute humanitarian crisis, and millions are facing gender-based violence, loss of livelihood, and limited access of health care. That is why women are suffering more than anybody else, women and children. That is why there has to be a call for peaceful coordination between those people who have a wise mind in order to stop this crazy war, because this is not going to take people anywhere, even if the objectives of the war is to stop the nuclear nuclear weapons in the region. It is keeping Israel with all the facilities of nuclear facilities that they are having, and only focusing on Iran. And if there is mediation between Iran and Israel, there has to be, Egypt will be the one that is going to do the mediation, and Egypt, because of the peaceful accords between Egypt and Israel, that is why Egypt has a role to mediate and has a role to bring people to the table, bring the two the representatives of the two countries to the table in order to reach a ceasefire and to stop those hostilities from both sides.
So as we are marking the Martyrs' Day today, what is your message to the mother of the martyrs as we are also recognizing International Women's Day?
The women are always the ones who are suffering. They are the victims of wars, and they are the active combatants. They are the supporters whenever there is conflicts or wars, and it is important for women, for the government, and for the country to recognize the role of women and the resilience that is that the women are that they are passing through, and how much challenges they are facing, and there has to be peace building efforts in order to give the role of the women who are victims of the conflicts in order to have a role in the society, and to give them community support during the conflicts, and offer them health and welfare to the families of those who have lost their lives. So the community has a role in order to support those families who have already been suffering because of their lost ones.
So, Ambassador Soad, also, what are the challenges that face women and children in the war times, and how can we support them, and what is the required support?
Well, as you know, there was the United Nations Security Council Resolution 1325, which urged for the inclusion of women in peace and security. And since then, there has been only 7% of women who have been involved in peace negotiations, and 14% of mediators. So the role of the country is to increase the participation of women, give them a role in peace building and in peace negotiations and peace mediation, give them a role in order to overcome their suffering in the conflicts, because they are the ones who have been victims, and they have to be they have to be given something to. They have to be focused on their loss of livelihood, their limited access of health care. The displaced women have to be looked to how can we provide secure environment for those women who have been displaced, and of course there is a lack of water, lack of food. So we have to think of all those women and provide health and nutrition, and think of them during the wars and the economic vulnerability and the insecurity in education and in health. So there has to be focus on women, especially when they are celebrating the International Women's Day. We are thinking of all women in the world who are suffering, whether it is because they lost their loved ones, or because they have lost their properties, or they have been forced displaced, or have been in wars, facing high risk of sexual violence, of trafficking, of domestic violence. We have to think of all those women in the different countries, yes, in the Middle East and all over the world.
I'd like to thank Ambassador Soad Shalaby, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Thank you, Ambassador Soad, for being with us. And dear viewers, short break, and we'll be back with the top stories, so stay tuned.